I've said this on many occasions before, but I may as well say it here as well. I think that types with extroverted thinking as the top function are the most active types. And by implication, that might mean that TE is the most active function. You might think the title of most active would belong to the SE DOMs, who can often be very forceful and energetic, but I think that SE can be enjoyed also in a passive kind of way, by drinking in some kind of sensual or sensory experience. So SE doesn't always have to be active. TE, on the other hand, kind of needs to act upon something. It needs to organize, structure, restructure, and systematize things. To-do lists. If you spend too much of your time thinking about a thing, you'll never get it done. This is very much applicable to the TE DOMs, so ENTJs and ESTJs. They are perpetually in a task and goal-oriented mode. This is the default state for them. They'll often be on the go and very restless until all of their tasks are done. I've noticed that they'll zone in on getting something done and care about it intensely, yet as soon as it's done, they'll just move on to the next thing. There is a relentlessness to their approach to life. They seem to blur the line between being outcome versus process oriented. It's like the outcomes are part of the process for them. I heard a story once about Alex Ferguson, who was the manager for the football club Manchester United. After winning the Premier League, which he did with them many times, there'd be a celebration maybe for one day or a few hours, but after that his mind would instantly go to the next season. He wasn't interested necessarily in celebrating his victories or achievements, he just wanted to get back to work. I've seen this trait many times with high TE users, and I think he's an ISTJ. It can often look like they're not enjoying what they're doing or not getting a huge amount of satisfaction, but I think they do, secretly. Effective and efficient. Efficiency is doing things right. Effectiveness is doing the right things. High TE users seem to be almost philosophically attached to the notion of efficiency. Making something faster, easier, more seamless and straightforward to use is quite automatic for them. It almost causes them physical pain to see something that is badly designed. They'll often feel compelled to intervene or suggest a way to improve it, which is not always welcome by the people whose flaws they're correcting. High TE users also tend to be quite pragmatic. Every choice or decision or plan is filtered through the question of, does it work? If something doesn't yield results, then it will often be ruthlessly cut out. Saying that TE likes to organize is quite a vague thing. The best way I can think of it is that it's finding the right order to do things. That could be pieces on a chessboard. You have X number of pieces, but the order in which you choose to move them makes a very big difference. It could be something very practical, like arranging furniture in a room. It could be organizing an event. For example, let's say a wedding. Often in a wedding, the main room will need to be changed around, especially if the wedding ceremony itself takes place in the same room as the food. So often things will be ordered in a way where all the guests are moved to some other part of the event in order for people to come in, rearrange the room, then the guests come back. That's an example where the order in which things happen buys people time to get a task done. Choosing the correct order to do something in can have an unbelievable effect on the amount of time it takes, the amount of effort, energy, and it's really not a skill that is natural to lots of people. If you give a list of activities to a high TE user, they're going to be much better than average or other types at prioritizing the order in which they should be done. High TE users are also good at amalgamating tasks, managing to kill multiple birds with one stone. Systematic. You do not rise to the level of your goals, you fall to the level of your systems. Whereas a TI user might be creating an internal logical system which they can use to navigate through the world, TE users tend to create external systems. They spend time and effort creating this external system, then the system itself does the work from then on. This could take the form of making processes, procedures, or dare I mention, spreadsheets. This is one of the reasons they tend to make good leaders. It's not necessarily that they're being forceful or dictatorial, but instead it's because they can standardize these procedures in a way that everyone else can follow as well. TI users might create rules or principles, whereas TE users create systems. ENTJs and ESTJs are equally adept when it comes to their TE related skills, but there are some noticeable differences. ENTJs tend to be more ambitious, not in the sense that they want to achieve more or be more successful. There isn't really a difference between them in that respect, but the specific goals they aim for tend to be more far-reaching. ENTJs would pick a goal that they like, then figure out the steps to get there, whereas ESTJs tend to ask themselves, what resources do I have now and what can I do with them? Obviously both types can do both, but that's the way they lean most of the time. ESTJs can definitely be more grounded and realistic than ENTJs, and ENTJs tend to be a bit more intense and relentless. They'll often push themselves more, sometimes in an unhealthy way. Unlike ENTJs and ESTJs, who are kind of looking for reasons to use their TE, INTJs and ISTJs use TE more as a tool. They're only going to make use of it when they actually have a reason two. As a result, they might look a lot less busy and on the go compared to the TE DOMs, but once they have a vision, a reason, or an aim, they can both kick into gear in a very big way. I think that out of the high TE users, INTJs are the most artistic because their TE is wedged between NI and FI, and ISTJs are the most stable and consistent. ENFPs and ESFPs have an interesting relationship with TE. It's something they can bring into play over time and develop, and can be very powerful as a result. All of the EP types are kind of chaotic by nature and can thrive very well in chaos, so whenever they can bring in more TE structure, it's going to give them a huge boost and advantage. Finally, there's INFPs and ISFPs, who tend to have the most imbalanced relationship with TE. They often resist standardization, which can be very difficult since society needs to be standardized, whether that's in the workplace or the education system. I've also spoken about types that have extroverted thinking as their blind spot, so INFJs and ISFJs, but there's another video for that somewhere on the channel.